Amanda leaned back against the airplane seat, her heart beating with anticipation. The soft hum of the engines seemed to mirror the steady rhythm of her thoughts, each one tethered to Charles. It had been almost 2 years since she'd seen him in person. 2 years of long-distance devotion. 2 years of voice notes, late-night video calls, and countless bank transfers to help him build their future. Charles always spoke with passion, how he wanted to own a home, start a business, and finally marry her once she returned from school in the U.S. And Amanda, she believed him. Every word. Her eyes shimmered as she recalled his voice saying, "Baby, once you're back, everything begins for real." She had spent hours picking out the perfect outfit to wear when surprising him, imagining how stunned and happy he would be to see her on his doorstep. She opened the Notes app on her phone and reread the messages he sent weeks ago. "I'm proud of you," one said. "I can't wait for us to be together forever," said another. With every word, Amanda's chest swelled. Still, there was a slight ache beneath her excitement, a whisper of doubt she kept pushing away. Angela, her best friend since university, had gone strangely silent in recent months. Messages went unanswered, voice notes left unread. But Amanda chalked it up to busy life back home, weddings, work, Lego stress. Besides, Angela was the one who introduced her to Charles in the first place, and she never stopped praising him. "Girl, that man is a husband already." "Don't lose him," Angela used to say with teasing laughter. Amanda smiled at the memory, letting it warm her. She was finally returning to build her life, her love, with the man she'd trusted with her heart and the friend she called sister. "Charles has no idea what's coming," she whispered with a laugh as the plane began its descent. But neither did she. The air in Lagos felt heavier than Amanda remembered, thick with the scent of fuel, sweat, and memories. As the taxi crawled through the familiar traffic, she sat quietly in the back seat, clutching the small duffel bag that held her essentials. She hadn't told anyone she was returning, not Charles, not Angela, not even a hint on social media. She wanted her return to feel like a movie scene, raw, unscripted, real. It wasn't pride, it was hope. The kind of hope that whispered, "If he really loves you, you shouldn't have to announce your presence." Her heart beat faster with every passing street. She noticed new buildings, changed storefronts, and familiar bus stops that looked older now. Everything was the same, but different. Just like her, no longer the naive girl who left 2 years ago, but a woman who had loved hard, worked harder, and now just wanted peace. As the driver pulled up near her family's compound in Surulere, Amanda sighed. "Auntie, we don reach?" the driver asked, throwing a glance at her through the mirror. "Yes, thank you," she replied softly, offering him a folded note and a small smile. She dragged her suitcase behind her, heart pounding in her ears as her heels clicked against the pavement. The front gate creaked open just as she raised her hand to knock, and there stood her older brother, Samuel. His jaw dropped. "Amanda!" "What? You didn't tell anyone you were coming," he exclaimed, wrapping her in a tight, stunned hug. She laughed into his shoulder, suddenly emotional. "I wanted to see your genuine surprise," she teased. Samuel held her back at arm's length, studying her face. "You look tired but happy," he said. "I am, just not sure why my heart's racing," she confessed. He didn't press. Instead, he picked up her bag and said, "Come inside. Welcome home, sis." And with that, Amanda took her first real step back into the life she left behind. Amanda sat on the edge of her childhood bed that night, scrolling through her phone with fingers she hadn't realized were trembling. She stared at Angela's contact, one that used to light up her screen daily. "My Twinnie," she had saved it under. A deep sigh escaped her as she tapped the voice note option. "Hey Angie, I'm home," she said in a whisper. "I wanted to surprise everyone, especially you. I've missed you so much. Please call me back when you get this." She hit send and stared at the screen. Message delivered, no blue ticks. No typing bubble. No reply. She checked her Instagram and noticed Angela's last post was over a month ago, a blurry party photo. The comment section was off. Something felt unfinished, unspoken. Amanda swallowed the unease and threw her phone onto the bed, deciding it was jet lag messing with her instincts. But it wasn't just nerves. It was something deeper, an ache she couldn't yet name. Later that evening, while unpacking, Amanda's fingers brushed against a wrapped jewelry box she'd brought for Angela, a charm bracelet with both their initials. Twin souls, it was engraved. She smiled weakly, remembering how Angela once cried when Amanda left for school. "Who will I run to when I need real talk?" she had said, teary-eyed. Amanda placed the bracelet gently on the dresser, next to a framed photo of the two of them at university, their arms tangled around each other in laughter. "You better call me tomorrow," Amanda muttered under her breath, trying to sound playful. Samuel popped his head through the door then. "Still no reply?" he asked quietly. Amanda shook her head. Maybe her phone is broken. Samuel looked skeptical but said nothing. "I'm going to see Charles in a few days," she added, mostly to herself. Samuel gave her a long look. "Take your time. You've changed, Amanda. Just make sure what you're going back to still fits." Amanda nodded but felt a lump rise in her throat. Something was wrong. She just didn't know what it was yet. The next morning, Amanda took a walk around the neighborhood with Sylvia, her cousin who lived 2 streets away. Sylvia was the kind of person who noticed the things others missed. "You've been quiet since yesterday," Sylvia said, glancing sideways. Amanda shrugged, watching a group of school children giggle past them. "Just adjusting. It's been a long time," she replied. "And Angela?" Sylvia asked gently. "Still nothing. It's strange, but maybe she's just busy." Amanda tried to keep her voice light, but Sylvia caught the strain behind her smile. "Busy? Angela would have shouted from the rooftops if she knew you were back. Something's off." Amanda stopped walking and sighed. "I know, but I need to believe everything's okay. I can't handle bad news right now." Sylvia reached for her hand. "Then let's go slow. No rushing. Just watch things unfold, okay?" Amanda nodded, though her gut twisted tighter with each step. Back home, Amanda flipped through a small notebook where she'd scribbled her goals for the year. Return home, launch a boutique, get married. She stared at the third point for a long time. Was it still real? Was Charles still the man who dreamed with her, laughed with her, waited for her? She replayed his voice in her head, his promises, his jokes, the way he always said, "I'm nothing without you." Suddenly her phone buzzed. She jumped. But it wasn't Angela. It was Charles. Her heart thudded. "Hey babe, you okay?" He had messaged. She stared at the text, reading it 3 times before responding. "Just got back in. Missed you." A few seconds later, the typing bubble appeared, then stopped. Appeared again, then disappeared. No reply came. Amanda stared blankly at her screen, the unease now crawling into her bones. "What's happening, Charles?" she whispered, holding her breath. But the silence answered her more than any words could. Amanda wasn't sure what drew her to Charles's street that afternoon. She hadn't told him she was coming. There was no plan. Just a need to see for herself where they once spoke of building their future. The cab slowed near the corner of his compound, and Amanda leaned slightly out the window, her sunglasses hiding eyes scanning every movement. The gate to his compound opened just as a slender figure stepped out of a silver car, laughing. Amanda's stomach dropped. It was Angela. Dressed in a floral dress Amanda had once gifted her, she looked too comfortable, too familiar. A second later, the front door swung open and Charles appeared, smiling as he took Angela's hand, then leaned in to whisper something. Amanda couldn't hear it, but the intimacy was undeniable. She ducked quickly, heart thudding. The cab driver turned slightly. "Madam, you won't enter," Amanda forced a smile. "No, just keep driving." As they turned the corner, Amanda pressed her hand against her chest, trying to control the panic. There must be a reasonable explanation. Maybe Angela was helping him plan something for her, a surprise party, an anniversary dinner. She swallowed hard. "This doesn't make sense," she whispered to herself. Her phone buzzed again, Charles. "Sorry I haven't called back. Work's been mad." "When can we see?" Amanda stared at the message. It was too calm, too normal. Was this what betrayal looked like, casual messages layered with deceit? She didn't respond immediately. Instead, she sent a text to Sylvia. "I just saw Angela at Charles's place." Sylvia's reply came quickly. "What? Are you okay?" Amanda didn't answer, because truthfully, she wasn't sure. Her world had begun to feel like quicksand, memories sinking, trust dissolving. And somewhere in her heart, something had cracked. Amanda spent the evening pacing her room, turning the events of the day over in her mind like puzzle pieces that refused to fit. She kept imagining Angela's laughter, so carefree, so unbothered. If something was wrong, she would have told me, Amanda muttered. But then again, had she even been telling Amanda anything for months now? Her finger hovered over Angela's contact again. Finally, she dialed. It rang once, then went straight to voicemail. She dropped the phone with a frustrated sigh. Sylvia entered the room, a bowl of fruit in her hands. "Have you spoken to either of them?" she asked gently. Amanda shook her head. "Angela's still unreachable, and Charles is texting like nothing happened. Like everything is fine." Sylvia handed her a slice of mango. "So what's the plan?" Amanda chewed slowly. "I need to hear it from them, face to face. No assumptions." Later that night, Amanda opened her laptop and pulled up her bank statement. Line after line showed transfers labeled for Charles Business, Angela Laptop, House Rent Support. Her jaw clenched. She hadn't thought twice before sending them. It was love. It was trust. Now it just looked like financing betrayal. Her chest tightened. "I need answers," she whispered. But the thought of confrontation made her hands tremble. She'd never been one for drama. But silence? Silence was starting to feel more dangerous than any fight. She closed the laptop and turned to Sylvia. "I'll visit Charles tomorrow. If nothing else, I need to see his eyes when I ask him." Sylvia nodded. "I'll be waiting." "And Amanda?" Amanda looked up. "No matter what he says, remember who you are. You're not the fool in this story." Amanda smiled weakly. "I hope not, but something tells me. I've been one for far too long." Amanda stepped into the cafe where Charles had asked to meet her. It was a cozy space tucked into a quiet corner of the city, filled with the aroma of pastries and faint jazz playing overhead. When she spotted him at the far end, her heart skipped. He stood and opened his arms. "Amanda, look at you," he said warmly, pulling her into a hug. She let him. For a moment, she inhaled the familiar scent of his cologne and almost convinced herself nothing had changed. But when they sat and his eyes darted nervously to his phone, her doubts resurfaced. "You didn't seem surprised that I came back," Amanda said carefully. Charles chuckled, sipping his coffee. "I mean, I knew you were due soon. Just didn't know it'd be this week." She tilted her head. "Angela didn't tell you?" His smile faltered for a brief second. "Angela? No, haven't heard from her in a while." The lie was smooth but not seamless. Amanda felt it in her bones. That's odd. She hasn't returned my calls either," Amanda said, watching his reaction. Charles shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe she's just been busy. You know how Lagos can be." Amanda smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Busy enough to forget her best friend was coming home?" He chuckled again, but there was a flicker of anxiety behind his charm. "Anyway, I've missed you. You look beautiful." Amanda stared at him, trying to connect this man to the one she'd loved through phone screens for 2 years. Everything he said felt off, like lines rehearsed without meaning. "I've missed you too," she lied. Inside, the distance between them stretched wider than any ocean. And though Charles held her hand and smiled like a man still in love, Amanda realized something terrifying. She didn't recognize him anymore. Amanda watched Charles intently as he rambled on about a business proposal he was pitching to a friend of a senator. He seemed more focused on impressing her with fabricated ambition than reconnecting with her soul. She nodded politely, but her thoughts wandered. He didn't ask how her journey was, what her life in the U.S. had been like, or what dreams she now held. He seemed to be talking at her, not with her. "So, once the money lands, I'll have the logistics sorted. Maybe we can finally talk about the wedding," he said with a wink. Amanda's eyes narrowed slightly. "Which wedding, Charles?" she asked. He paused, blinking. "Ours, of course," he said, chuckling awkwardly. But the pause was telling, too long, too calculated. Amanda leaned back, folding her arms. "I didn't know we were still engaged." Charles waved her off. "Of course we are. You're mine. We're just catching up." She smiled, but inside her heart ached. Every word he said reeked of entitlement. "You're mine, not we're together, not I'm grateful you waited. Just possession." As he glanced at his phone again, Amanda caught a glimpse of a message notification. "Angela, call me after she leaves." Her breath caught, but she quickly masked her reaction. She had seen enough. "Charles," she began, her tone suddenly firmer. Do you think love means accountability? He looked confused. What do you mean? Amanda smiled coldly. Never mind. Just curious. She stood up. I'll see you around. Let me know when that logistics plan becomes a real business. Before he could respond, she had already turned toward the door, her heels echoing against the tile floor. Outside, she inhaled deeply. The truth was no longer whispering, it was screaming. And it was only a matter of time before everything exploded. That evening, Amanda found herself sitting cross-legged on Sylvia's bed, her mind racing. You saw her name on his phone? Sylvia asked, wide-eyed. Amanda nodded slowly. Angela. Clear as day, and the message read, call me after she leaves. Sylvia gasped. He's not even hiding it well. Amanda chuckled bitterly. That's the part that hurts the most. He's so comfortable lying. He doesn't even bother to cover his tracks. Sylvia placed a hand on Amanda's knee. So what's the plan? Amanda bit her lower lip. I want to wait. Watch. I'm not going to scream or cry. Not yet. I want to see how deep this goes. She paused, then added, I want to make sure I'm not wrong before I stop being kind. Sylvia gave a small nod. That's wise. But if you need to break things, scream, or throw cake, just know I'll support all of it. Amanda smiled faintly. Thanks, Syl. But no cake throwing. Yet. She picked up her own phone and began scrolling through old transactions. Her heart squeezed with every transfer. Rent support, hospital bill, new phone, Angela laptop replacement. Everything she thought was building love was being weaponized against her. She noticed a recent transaction labeled Event Prepayment Grandville. Her brows furrowed. She hadn't seen that before. Tapping on the reference, it appeared Charles had used her U.S. PayPal account, linked to their joint email, to pay a deposit to a venue. Amanda's chest tightened. She knew Grandville. It was a luxury event hall used for high-end weddings and private ceremonies. He used my money for a venue? She muttered. But for what? Sylvia looked at her, then slowly sat up straighter. Amanda, you don't think he's planning to marry? Amanda nodded grimly. Angela. The word hit the room like thunder. The silence that followed was louder than any scream could be. Amanda lay awake on the couch, her body still but her mind racing through storm clouds. The air was heavy, the silence pressing into her skin like a second weight. She clutched a journal against her chest, its pages worn from years of letters, thoughts, and imagined wedding plans. Flipping to a clean sheet, she began to write slowly, deliberately. To the man I thought I knew, and the friend I thought I had. The words poured out like blood from a fresh wound. With every sentence, she exhaled years of trust, sacrifice, and blind loyalty. The pen scratched the paper until her hand ached, but she didn't stop. It was the only way to stop the tears from flowing. Her eyes flicked to her phone again. No messages. Angela had still not replied. That silence now screamed louder than betrayal. Sylvia came in quietly with a blanket and set it over Amanda's shoulders. You've been writing for over an hour, she said softly. Amanda didn't look up. I needed to tell someone. Even if it's just a page. Sylvia sat beside her. Do you want to talk? Amanda finally turned. I want to know when love became so cruel. I gave everything to both of them, money, time, trust, and this is what they do behind my back? Her voice cracked. Sylvia pulled her into a side hug. They'll regret it. But don't let their betrayal define your worth. Amanda nodded, tears finally breaking free. I'm not going to let them destroy me. I swear, Syl, before they exchange a single vow, they'll understand exactly who I am. She closed the journal and wiped her face. Tomorrow, I start digging. No more blind faith. It's time I saw the truth, with both eyes open. Amanda awoke to the sound of hurried footsteps outside her bedroom door. Before she could sit up, Sylvia burst in, phone in hand, breathless. Amanda, you need to see this. She handed her the phone with trembling fingers. Amanda rubbed her eyes and focused on the screen. Her breath caught. It was a digital wedding announcement, lavishly designed, with golden lettering. Charles and Angela, a union to remember, traditional ceremony this weekend at Grandville. Amanda stared at the names, her vision blurring as if the letters themselves mocked her. This isn't real, she whispered, but the comments beneath told her otherwise. Friends congratulating the couple. Hashtags with their initials. Her name was nowhere in sight. Amanda's hands trembled. Her ears rang with silence that felt like betrayal's echo. Sylvia crouched beside her, I found it on a wedding blog someone shared on Facebook. It's real. Amanda slowly sat up, her jaw clenched, face pale. So, all this time, they weren't just sneaking around. They were planning a life, celebrating it, publicly. She stood and walked to the window, sunlight falling across her stunned face. "How long have I been a joke in their story?" she murmured. Sylvia's voice trembled. "We need to expose them." "Now," Amanda shook her head. "Not yet." She turned, fire in her eyes. "If they want a wedding, they'll have it. But they won't forget who paid for the cake." Sylvia blinked. "You're not going to stop it?" Amanda's lips curved into a cold smile. "No, Syl. I'm going to walk into that wedding, and I will look them both in the eye as their lie crumbles beneath them." Amanda sat in the living room with Samuel that afternoon, her journal pressed against her lap. Samuel had been quiet since he heard the news. He studied her carefully, noting the eerie calm that had settled over her. "Are you okay?" he finally asked. She looked at him, eyes steady. "No, but I will be," Samuel nodded slowly. "I can't believe Angela, after everything." Amanda exhaled sharply, pain leaking from her voice. "She was my best friend. My other half. I loved her like blood." Her hands clenched into fists. "She didn't just take my man. She spit on everything we shared. Every secret, every laugh, every time I defended her." Samuel reached for her hand. "You don't have to face this alone." Amanda met his gaze. "I won't, but I have to face it smart. They planned this behind closed doors. I'll watch them unwrap it in front of the world." Later that night, Amanda walked into her old bedroom and opened a storage box she hadn't touched in years. Inside were photos of her and Angela from university, drenched in laughter, innocence, and promises. She held one close. They were wearing matching yellow dresses, arms slung around each other's necks, mouths mid-laughter. "You lied to me with that same smile," Amanda whispered. She placed the photo face down on the table and opened her laptop. Her fingers moved quickly as she searched Grandville's event registry. Her heart jumped when she found it. Event ID 5483 Wedding, Charles and Angela. A contact email and number followed. "Let's see how far this show has gone," Amanda muttered. Then her phone buzzed. A message from Charles. "Hope you're settling in. I've been meaning to talk to you about something important." Amanda stared at the screen. "Oh, you will," she thought, "but you won't be ready for what I've become." The following morning, Amanda dressed with calculated elegance. A tailored green dress hugged her figure, and a soft head wrap framed her expressionless face. Sylvia stood in the doorway, hesitant. "Are you really going there today?" Amanda applied a soft gloss to her lips and nodded. "Yes, I'm going to act like I know nothing. Like I'm still the clueless girl they've been laughing about. Let them be comfortable. Let them lie freely. It's one last time." Sylvia didn't argue. Amanda's phone buzzed. Charles had sent a location pin. "Come by the house. Let's catch up. I miss you." Amanda's lips twitched in disgust. "He wants to catch up. He has no idea I've already caught everything." Amanda arrived at Charles's compound with grace in her step and a fake joy stitched across her face. Charles greeted her at the gate, arms wide open. "Wow, you look amazing," he said, giving her a warm embrace. "So good to see you again, babe." Amanda laughed lightly. "It's good to be back. So much has changed, right?" He smiled awkwardly. Yeah, a lot has." Just then, the door opened and Angela stepped out, clearly not expecting Amanda. Her eyes widened and for a second she froze. Then quickly she smiled. "Amanda! Oh my goodness, you're home!" Amanda walked over and embraced her tightly. "Surprise!" she said, her voice syrupy sweet. "I've missed you so much." Angela laughed nervously. I've missed you too." Charles stood between them, suddenly shifting from confident to anxious. And Amanda, smiling, looked at them both, two people so lost in their deceit they didn't notice they were already standing at the edge of exposure. Inside the living room, Amanda sat between Charles and Angela, each of them trying too hard to play the role of concerned friend and loving partner. Amanda watched them closely, listening to their practiced laughter and surface-level chatter. "So how long are you back for?" Angela asked, stirring her juice. Amanda gave her a soft smile, indefinitely. "I'm done with the States." Angela blinked. "Wow, that's huge. You didn't tell me you were planning to stay." Amanda tilted her head. "Neither did you tell me you were getting married." The room froze for a heartbeat. Angela laughed too quickly. Married? Me. No, who told you that? Amanda's gaze didn't flinch. Just a dream I had, she replied coolly. Charles shifted in his seat. You know Lagos people and their fake news, he said with a chuckle. Amanda nodded slowly. Right. Fake news can be so convincing these days. The conversation turned to awkward small talk, and Amanda could feel the undercurrent of panic tightening around both their necks. Charles kept checking his phone while Angela played with the hem of her blouse. Amanda's phone vibrated in her bag. A message from Sylvia popped up, confirmed. The payment for their wedding was made through your PayPal. Amanda swallowed the lump in her throat and stood. I should get going. Just wanted to see your faces again. It's been enlightening. Charles followed her to the door. Let's talk later, please. Just us. Amanda smiled faintly. Sure, but make it soon, Charles. Time is running. He looked confused, but she didn't explain. Angela waved with a tight smile, her eyes watching Amanda too carefully. As Amanda walked away, she exhaled deeply. It wasn't just betrayal. It was denial wrapped in bold-faced lies. And now that she had caught them both in it, her next move had to be surgical. Back at Sylvia's, Amanda replayed the encounter in her mind, her fists clenched. She sat on the edge of the couch, her leg bouncing rapidly. They lied to my face, she said through gritted teeth. Sylvia handed her a glass of water. And you held your ground like a queen. But Amanda, we can't keep tiptoeing. What's the next step? Amanda nodded slowly. We get proof, cold, undeniable proof, and I want it from the source. She grabbed her laptop and opened the shared email she and Charles once used to manage financial accounts. As she scrolled through the inbox, her heart ached at the memories, the shared plans, sweet emails, love letters, all now stained. But amidst the clutter, she found something. A message from Grandville confirming final balance received and an attached invoice. Her eyes narrowed. The sender? Angela's personal email. There it is, Amanda whispered. She was the one coordinating everything. With my money, Sylvia gasped. This is enough to ruin them, Amanda. Amanda shook her head. Not yet. They'll just spin it. I need voices, conversations. I need them to confess it without knowing they're being watched. Sylvia frowned. That's risky. Amanda leaned back, calculating. Not if we bait them right. I'll pretend I want to invest in Charles's business again. Give him a reason to talk freely. He's always loose when he thinks money's coming. Sylvia nodded slowly. And Angela? Amanda smirked. Angela won't be able to resist boasting. She's always been the type to gloat when she thinks she's won. She glanced at her phone. I'll reach out to my lawyer friend too. Just in case. Sylvia smiled. You're not just confronting betrayal, Amanda. You're building a case. Amanda's eyes gleamed with quiet fire. Exactly. And I'll make sure they know this time I'm not the fool they used to love. Amanda met with her lawyer friend Damilola in a quiet cafe in Lekki the next morning. As they sat in a secluded corner, Amanda passed her phone across the table. These are screenshots of the transactions. Every single one made from my account. Some of them were disguised as business expenses, but look closer. Damilola scrolled through, frowning deeper with every swipe. Event payment, catering, decoration deposits. Amanda, this isn't just emotional betrayal. This is financial exploitation. If you want to press charges, Amanda raised a hand. Not yet. I need more than evidence. I want confession, their voices, their faces. I want them trapped by their own words. Damilola nodded. Then record everything. With consent or without, just keep the files clean. Amanda sighed. I never thought I'd need a lawyer for a relationship. Damilola smiled sadly. Sometimes the worst wounds come from people who once held your heart. Later that day, Amanda sat in her car outside Charles's office, breathing deeply. She rehearsed the script in her head. Play the gentle, loyal woman again. Offer fake forgiveness. Dangle new investment. Get him talking. She texted him. Let's meet soon. I want to support your business again, just like before. Within seconds, he replied, Tonight? I've missed you. Let's talk everything through. Amanda stared at the screen, a bitter smile forming. The same man who was planning a wedding with someone else was still hungry for her support. Sylvia called just then. Are you okay? Amanda exhaled. No, but I'm getting stronger. Sylvia's voice softened. Just promise me something. Amanda glanced at her recorder in her bag. What? Sylvia said. Promise you'll finish what they started. Don't back down when they cry. Amanda's voice was calm but resolute. I won't. They gave me a stage. Now they'll watch me own it. Amanda walked into the Grandville Event Center dressed in a neutral-toned blouse and black trousers, her expression unreadable. She was ushered into a private office where she introduced herself as Angela's silent sponsor, feigning a warm familiarity. The receptionist, unaware of the real drama, handed her the contract file after she requested a copy for review. Amanda skimmed through the pages and quickly located the name and account that finalized payment, hers. Her chest tightened, but she forced a smile. I'd like to ensure the final touches are handled well. You know, floral choices, catering sequence, and guest coordination, she said sweetly. The staff member nodded. Of course, we appreciate your generosity. Most sponsors don't involve themselves this late. Amanda chuckled lightly. Well, let's just say this event is personal to me. Outside, Amanda called Sylvia immediately. Confirmed. The payment is under my name. I own the venue on that day, even if they don't know it. Sylvia gasped. So technically, you could shut the whole thing down? Amanda paused. I could, but that's too easy. I want them to stand in front of everyone they love, before the walls cave in. Her voice trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of what she was planning. She sat on a bench near the fountain and stared at the grandeur of the venue. The same place she once dreamed of using for her own wedding. Now it would host her heartbreak, but also her closure. Angela chose this place thinking it symbolized her win. I'll make sure it marks her downfall, Amanda whispered, gripping her bag tighter. The lies had been grand, but her truth would be louder. Angela's bridal shower was a glittering affair held in an upscale lounge with rose gold decor, soft jazz playing, and a guest list full of excited women. Amanda walked in wearing a burnt orange dress, her poise commanding attention. Whispers rose immediately. Some guests hadn't seen her in years and rushed to hug her, unaware of the backstory. Angela's smile faltered the moment their eyes met, but Amanda pulled her into a hug, whispering, You wear betrayal well. It suits you. Angela stiffened but forced a laugh. I'm so glad you came. You've always supported me, she said through gritted teeth. Amanda held her glass and raised it toward the crowd. To old friendships, forgotten calls, and new beginnings, even when they're stolen. Laughter rippled, though some glanced between the two women with curiosity. Throughout the evening, Amanda moved like a shadow, graceful, poised, deadly quiet. She overheard fragments of gossip, pieces of timelines that now made sense. Angela basked in attention, oblivious to the glares slowly catching on. Later, when Amanda stepped outside for air, one of Angela's old university mates, Chioma, followed her. Amanda, she said gently, I don't know what's going on, but something feels wrong. Angela's been acting different, secretive. I thought maybe you knew? Amanda gave her a small smile. I do. And soon, everyone else will too. She turned to leave. Enjoy the drinks. The real toast is coming. Her heels echoed on the marble as she disappeared into the night. Angela's shower was meant to be a celebration, but after Amanda's presence, it felt more like the final calm before a brewing storm. The next morning, Amanda stood at the gate of a quiet cemetery, clutching a bouquet of white lilies. The sun cast soft shadows across the marble headstones as she walked slowly to her mother's grave. It had been nearly 6 years since the funeral, but the pain never fully dulled. She knelt before the grave, brushing away dried leaves from the nameplate. Mama, I need you today, she whispered. I gave my love to people who wore masks. I kept giving even when it drained me. And now they've carved a wedding out of my sacrifice. Her voice cracked as tears streamed down her cheeks. You always said to be wise, not just kind. I didn't listen, but I've learned. I promise I've learned. Amanda sat on the edge of the grave, pulling out a letter she had written the night before. She read it aloud in a trembling voice, confessing her fears, her hurt, and her resolve. I won't let their betrayal define me. I will rise, Mama, not out of vengeance, but because I remember who I am. She laid the letter on the grave and placed the lilies beside it. The breeze carried her words into the silence, like a blessing sealed by heaven. As she stood and walked away, a strange calm settled over her, the kind of calm that comes before justice. She glanced back one last time. "Watch me, Mama," she whispered. "This time, I'm not just surviving. I'm reclaiming everything." And with that, Amanda stepped back into the world, no longer just a woman scorned, but a woman armed with purpose. Amanda sat in Sylvia's room with her laptop open and phone resting beside a concealed recorder. The plan was simple. Catch them off guard with trust, then let their pride unravel the truth. "Charles thinks we're meeting tonight to talk investment," Amanda said, typing quickly. "Angela's at the venue earlier to check decorations. Sylvia, I need you to follow her. Don't engage, just observe. Record if you can." Sylvia nodded firmly. "I'll be your eyes." Amanda's phone buzzed. Charles had sent a voice note. She clicked play. "Babe, I can't tell you how much your support means. Once this business lifts, I promise, everything will fall into place." Amanda's jaw tightened. His voice dripped with false hope. "He's still selling me a dream," she muttered. "Good, that's how I'll trap him." Later that evening, Amanda met Charles at a lounge near Victoria Island. The lighting was low, the air rich with cologne and quiet music. He smiled as she walked in, standing to hug her like a devoted lover. "Wow, you look breathtaking," he murmured. Amanda returned the smile. "Thank you. I wanted to look the part." They sat, and he began describing business struggles, fabricated figures, exaggerated setbacks. Amanda listened quietly, nodding, pretending to care. Then, gently, she leaned forward. "If I support you again, Charles, just be honest with me. All cards on the table." He hesitated. "I swear, Amanda, I'm serious about us." She placed her hand over his, hiding the recorder beneath the table. "And Angela?" she asked softly. Charles blinked. "Angela? She's just helping me with planning. Nothing's going on there. She's like a sister." Amanda's stomach churned, but her smile never cracked. "Then let's toast to loyalty and second chances." And just like that, the lie was sealed, captured in his own voice. The wedding morning dawned with clear skies and a breeze that hinted at irony. Grandville was decorated to perfection, blush tones, gold trimmings, crystal chandeliers, and elegant floral arches. Guests arrived in clusters, cameras flashing, lace gowns swaying as laughter filled the air. Amanda arrived early, uninvited but unnoticed. Dressed in a sleek ivory ensemble, she blended into the crowd like a well-placed shadow. She had every right to be there, after all. The receipts bore her name. She took her seat near the front, her expression composed, lips painted with resolve. Sylvia, seated a row behind, texted her quietly. "Angela just arrived. She looks tense." Amanda responded with a single word. "Good." Angela stepped into the hall, radiant in a beaded gown and coral veil, but her smile faltered the moment her eyes caught Amanda's. For a heartbeat, the music seemed to drown under the thunder in her chest. Amanda stood, walked toward her, and hugged her tightly. "Congratulations, my love," she whispered, deliberately loud enough for those nearby to hear. "You deserve everything coming to you today." Angela's hands trembled as she pulled away. What are you doing here?" she muttered, smile frozen. Amanda tilted her head. "Oh, I'm right where I belong." As the guests turned to face the front, waiting for the ceremony to begin, Amanda returned to her seat, crossed her legs, and whispered to Sylvia, "Let the show begin." The bride may have walked in with a veil, but it would be truth that walked her down the aisle. Charles entered the hall minutes later, dressed in a rich blue agbada, eyes scanning the crowd. His steps slowed when he spotted Amanda sitting near the altar. His confident smile wavered, but he pressed forward. A master of masks. As he approached the stage, one of the ushers handed him a folded note. His brow furrowed as he opened it. Written in delicate script were the words, "You planned this wedding with my money. Shall I send the receipt to the screen, or would you like to do the honors?" Charles turned pale. He turned around to find Amanda watching him, calm and unmoving. For the first time, he looked unsettled. Not because he was caught, but because he had no idea how much she truly knew. Angela, standing beside the officiant, noticed his panic and whispered, "Is something wrong?" Charles shook his head, sweat beading on his forehead. "We need to start now," the officiant said. Charles swallowed and nodded. The choir began humming softly, and the crowd quieted. Amanda leaned over to Sylvia. "Start the video." Sylvia tapped her phone discreetly. At the back of the hall, a projector screen lit up. The wedding planner tried to stop it, but Sylvia stepped in. "This is part of the program," she said firmly. Amanda rose slowly from her seat and walked to the center aisle. Heads turned. Phones were lifted. Angela watched her, confusion etched into her heavily powdered face. Amanda turned to the guests, her voice clear. "Before this couple shares vows, there's a short highlight reel of what it took to get here. Enjoy." And with that, she stepped aside, letting the screen speak truths words could never capture. The screen came alive with crisp audio. At first, the guests saw serene visuals, pictures of Amanda and Charles from years ago, voice notes of loving promises, affectionate chats. But the tone shifted quickly. A recording played of Charles saying, "Angela's just helping. She's like a sister." The next clip was audio of Angela boasting to a friend at a boutique. "Once I wear that dress and walk that aisle, everything Amanda left behind will be mine." A hush fell over the hall. Angela gasped, turning to Charles with wide eyes. How did they get this?" she hissed. Charles tried to step forward, but Amanda raised her hand. "There's more," she said calmly. The video continued, this time showing screenshots of receipts, bank transfers, emails, and the final payment receipt. Amanda's name at the top, unmistakable. Murmurs rippled through the room, eyes darting between bride and groom. Angela staggered back a step, her veil trembling. Charles looked like a man unraveling, face pale, lips parted, unable to speak. Amanda stood in front of them both now, eyes steady, voice unwavering. "To everyone here today, I wasn't invited, but I paid for every light in this hall. Every flower, every lie." The guests were stunned into silence. One woman gasped audibly. A man from the groom's side whispered, "So she's the one they used." Amanda turned to the crowd. "I was the fiancé before this wedding was stitched together in shadows. I gave them my trust, my money, my future. And this was the thank you gift." She stepped aside as the screen faded to black. For a long moment, no one moved. Then the quiet buzzed into chaos, whispers, gasps, a bridesmaid walking out. Amanda turned, face serene. "I think that's enough truth for one day," she said, and walked back to her seat. Angela ripped off her veil, fury painted across her face. "You did this to ruin me," she shouted, voice trembling. Amanda stood again, calm and dignified. "You ruined yourself the moment you decided betrayal made you a bride." Charles reached for Angela's hand, but she yanked away. "Don't touch me. You said none of this would come out." The crowd watched, transfixed. Phones were now out, recording. "You said she was done with us," Angela screamed. "You said she'd never come back." Amanda raised a brow. "And he said you were like a sister. What a sweet, twisted little family you two make." A few guests chuckled in disbelief. One auntie from the back muttered, "This one no be wedding again, oh, nay confession ceremony." The officiant slowly stepped off the altar, clearing his throat. "Perhaps we need a moment," he said awkwardly. Charles stepped forward. "Amanda, I can explain." She held up a hand. "Don't bother. This wasn't for closure. It was for clarity for me, and a lesson for everyone watching." Angela threw her bouquet on the floor. "You ruined my day," she shrieked. Amanda tilted her head. "I built your day. You just forgot whose name was on the foundation." The silence that followed was deafening. Sylvia approached and placed a supportive hand on Amanda's shoulder. "We can go now," she whispered. Amanda turned once more to the guests. "Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you peace, and better judgment in choosing the people you celebrate." With that, she walked down the aisle, not as a guest, not as a victim, but as a woman who had flipped the script on her betrayal. Amanda stepped outside into the soft afternoon light, the chaotic noise of the ruined wedding echoing faintly behind her. Charles followed, breathless. "Amanda, please," he called out. "Let me just explain. It wasn't what you think." She stopped walking, turned slowly, and faced him. "You used me," she said coldly. "While I was away building our future, you were here repackaging it for someone else." Charles's hands trembled. "I didn't plan for it to go that way. I was confused. Angela was my best friend," Amanda cut in, her voice sharp. "You weren't confused. You were entitled, and I was convenient. Until you saw something shinier, closer, easier to manipulate." Charles's face twisted with regret. "I loved you," Amanda laughed bitterly. "You loved what I gave you, my loyalty, my money, my silence. But you never loved me." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Can't we fix this?" I'll end things with her. We can start over. Amanda looked him over, as if seeing him clearly for the first time. You think all I needed was an apology? After everything? Charles, the only thing I'm taking from this chapter is the lesson. Her eyes welled slightly, but she didn't blink. You taught me to stop giving chances to those who see my worth only when they've lost it. Charles dropped his gaze, ashamed. So, that's it? Amanda took a deep breath. Yes, that's it. She turned to leave, pausing briefly. This day was supposed to be a beginning for you. Instead, it's your exposure. You didn't lose a woman. You lost the one person who believed in you when even you didn't. And with that, Amanda walked away, her heels clicking like punctuation marks on the final sentence of their broken story. Amanda's car waited by the gate, engine softly humming as Sylvia held the door open for her. The sun was beginning to dip behind the tall walls of Grandville, casting long shadows across the pavement, shadows Amanda now stepped beyond. Guests still milled about in stunned groups behind her, voices hushed with disbelief and disapproval. Amanda entered the car, adjusted her gown, and exhaled. Drive, she said quietly, not looking back. Sylvia slid in beside her and whispered, You ended it with more grace than I thought possible. Amanda nodded slowly. Because they didn't deserve my rage. They deserved to see me rise. Her fingers traced the hem of her sleeve. I didn't come to ruin their day, I came to reclaim mine. The silence in the car was peaceful now. The weight had lifted. Midway through the ride, Sylvia's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and frowned. He's calling me now. Charles. Amanda looked out the window. Let it ring. Moments later, a text arrived. Sylvia read it aloud. Please tell her to talk to me. Just once. Amanda's lips curled into a sad smile. He wants to talk now because I said nothing he could argue with. Her voice grew firmer. Let silence be my final answer. Sylvia nodded. He'll regret this forever. Amanda's eyes flicked up to the mirror. Good, that's exactly what I want. Not pain, not revenge, just the kind of silence that echoes long after I've left the room. As the car pulled into her compound, Amanda felt something shift inside her. She had walked into that wedding with wounds and walked out with wings. 3 days later, Charles sat alone in his now empty apartment, the remnants of the wedding chaos scattered around him. A deflated balloon floated lazily near the ceiling. The TV played an old romantic movie in the background, mocking him. Angela had left that morning in tears after a bitter argument that ended in her slapping him and shouting, You made me a public disgrace. He didn't argue. He just sat there, stunned by how fast everything had crumbled. His phone had gone quiet, calls unanswered, business partners retreating like waves at low tide. The last investor had texted simply, We don't work with men who build success on lies. Charles gripped the edge of the couch. Amanda's silence haunted him more than any insult could. Meanwhile, Amanda sat on her new balcony, the breeze brushing gently against her face. The apartment was her own, a property she had bought in secret months before her return. She had wanted it to be a surprise gift for her future family. Now, it was a sanctuary. She scrolled through her email, deleting offers, muting threads, and moving forward one digital footprint at a time. Sylvia entered with a warm cup of hibiscus tea. They're falling apart, you know, she said quietly. Amanda nodded. Let them. That's their journey now. I've started mine. She looked out over the city, the skyline reflecting in her eyes. They broke me for a moment, but they built a woman who doesn't break twice. And for the first time in weeks, Amanda smiled, not to convince the world she was okay, but because she finally meant it. The following week, Amanda launched her long-awaited fashion project, Anna by Amanda, a boutique fashion house that celebrated elegance, truth, and power in femininity. Her social media buzzed with praise. Clients flocked in, not just because of the designs, but because of the woman behind them. She turned her pain into a platform, one blogger wrote. Amanda stood in her studio, adjusting a mannequin's collar, when a young intern approached her. Ma, can I just say, I followed what happened at the wedding, and you gave so many of us strength. Amanda smiled softly. Thank you. Life will break you, yes, but it can also shape you. The key is to choose the shape. The girl nodded in awe, and Amanda turned back to her work, her hands now creating beauty from fabric, just as she'd done with her broken heart. Later that evening, Samuel joined Amanda at the boutique for dinner. They sat outside under soft string lights, laughter finally returning to their rhythm. "You've really done it, Amanda," he said, biting into a slice of suya. "You walked through fire and came out flame-proof." Amanda chuckled. "I stopped looking for people to validate me. That was the real breakthrough." She sipped her wine and added, "Now I build for myself." No apologies. Samuel leaned back in his chair. "So what's next?" Amanda looked up at the stars. "Peace, purpose, maybe one day. Someone real." She paused. "But I'm in no rush. I'm falling in love with my life first." And as the evening breeze brushed through her hair, Amanda knew she was finally living a story she didn't need to rewrite. Amanda stood by the large glass window of her boutique on a quiet Wednesday morning, sipping from a ceramic mug etched with the words, "Built from ashes." Her team was setting up a private fitting for a new high-end client, a man named Samuel Jr., an architect known for his charitable housing designs and understated brilliance. He entered just before noon, dressed simply in a navy kaftan, warm brown eyes scanning the space with admiration. "So this is the famous Anna by Amanda," he said with a relaxed smile. Amanda stepped forward, offering a handshake. "Welcome. I hear you design spaces that feel like home. I try to create clothes that feel like self." He chuckled. "Then I think we speak the same language." The conversation flowed easily, shifting from work to music, then to life. There was something calming in his presence, no games, no masks, just quiet honesty. As they reviewed sketches together, Amanda found herself laughing, genuinely. "You're different," she said, not intending to say it aloud. Samuel Jr. raised an eyebrow, amused. "Is that a compliment or a warning?" Amanda smiled. "It's both. My history with men could be turned into a cautionary tale." He leaned in slightly, voice sincere. "Sometimes the worst chapters bring the strongest characters to life." She met his gaze and saw no judgment, only understanding. Later, as he prepared to leave, he said, "Would it be too forward to ask you for coffee sometime?" "No pressure, no expectations." Amanda paused, surprised at her own heartbeat. "Only if I can pick the cafe," she replied. As he walked away, Amanda watched him with a subtle smile. She wasn't searching for love, but she could recognize when someone offered peace without pretending to be her rescue. 1 year later, Amanda stood barefoot on a secluded beach, the waves lapping softly at the shore, sunlight cascading off her ivory gown. The ceremony was small, just 30 people, close friends, and family. Samuel Jr. stood beneath an arch of woven palm leaves, smiling as she approached, her gown flowing like poetry with every step. Sylvia stood proudly as her maid of honor. Samuel, her brother, wiped a tear from his eye. There was no grand stage, no diamond chandeliers, just wind, waves, and vows whispered from the heart. "I don't promise perfection," Samuel said, holding her hands. "But I promise truth, peace, and a place you'll never have to beg to belong." Amanda's eyes glistened. "And I promise not to lose myself again, because you've shown me that love doesn't ask us to shrink." As they exchanged rings, Amanda glanced briefly at the distance, where her past once stood like a storm. But today, the sun shone on her healing. After the ceremony, they danced barefoot beneath the sky, no crowd, no spectacle, just love wrapped in simplicity. Angela wasn't there. Charles never tried again. And Amanda didn't need either of them to validate the joy written across her new beginning. Later, as she sat on the sand, head on Samuel's shoulder, she whispered, "This is the wedding I never imagined, but exactly the one I needed." He kissed her forehead gently. "You earned every second of it." And as the tide rolled in and stars began to scatter the sky, Amanda knew this was not just an ending. It was the beginning of everything she had built from broken pieces. Here's the Bible verse, Isaiah 61, verse 7, NIV. "Instead of your shame you will receive a double portion, and instead of disgrace you will rejoice in your inheritance. And so you will inherit a double portion in your land, and everlasting joy will be yours." Explanation. This verse perfectly reflects Amanda's journey. She was shamed, betrayed, and used, but by choosing strength over bitterness and wisdom over vengeance, she received something far greater, a life of peace, purpose, and true love. Moral of the story: never trade your dignity to keep a seat at someone else's table. When people betray you, it's not a reflection of your value, it's a revelation of their character. Sometimes the greatest revenge is not retaliation, but restoration. Rebuild your life so beautifully that even those who broke you wish they had treated you better. Real strength is not in how loud you expose others, but in how gracefully you rise while they watch from the ruins they created. That's the end of the story. What did you learn from this story? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notification so that you'll be notified whenever we drop our next videos. Also, share this video to someone who might be interested. Thank you so much for watching.